When Senate Republicans introduced their tax bill in mid-November, they faced competing interests. Some senators thought it wasn't generous enough for working-class families. Others thought it didn't deliver enough to business owners. As Republicans moved closer to a final vote on the bill Friday night, they made several tweaks to the tax legislation. They announced more benefits for business owners, particularly wealthy ones, but they voted down a proposal by Sens. Marco Rubio, R-FLA, and Mike Lee, R-Utah, to give low-income families a bigger tax break. The disparate treatment underlined how the legislation, a massive rewrite of the individual and corporate tax code, has evolved since its first incarnation. What began as an effort that would favor wealthy individuals and corporations became, in many ways, even more tilted in their favor as the legislation made its way through the Senate. Rubio and Lee had suggested paying for their idea by lowering the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21% instead of 20%. "We could have helped so much more," an exasperated Rubio had said earlier Friday, anticipating defeat. "With less than that 1% difference, we can make a huge difference in the lives of millions of Americans making between $20,000 and $50,000. That came after a series of other changes that took away from working-class and middle-class families benefits that had been in an earlier version of the bill. Republicans pushed a nearly $1.5 trillion tax bill through the Senate early Saturday after a burst of 11th-hour horse trading, as a party starved all year for a major legislative triumph took a giant step toward giving President Donald Trump one of his top priorities by Christmas. Big bills. Republicans pushed a nearly $1.5 trillion tax bill through the Senate early Saturday after a burst of 11th-hour horse trading, as a party starved all year for a major legislative triumph took a giant step toward giving President Donald Trump one of his top priorities by Christmas. Big bills. When lawmakers needed a way to limit the legislation's impact on the deficit to make it comply with Senate rules, they made the bill's tax cuts affecting individuals temporary, ending in 2025, while leaving in place ones that benefit corporations. The move would lead to a tax hike on many Americans in the middle of the next decade. Likewise, when they needed to find additional ways to finance the corporate tax cut, leaders targeted the Affordable Care Act's individual mandate for elimination. Such a move would lead 13 million to drop health insurance, including 5 million on Medicaid, according to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. At the same time, changes demanded by Sen. Ron Johnson, R. Wisconsin, to increase benefits for companies that pay their taxes through the individual tax code, a mechanism that experts say disproportionately benefits the wealthy, made it into the final version of the legislation released late Friday. It clearly makes inequality worse. The primary beneficiaries are the highest income taxpayers, said Adam Looney, a senior fellow in economic studies at the Brookings Institution who served as Deputy Assistant Secretary for Tax Analysis in the Obama administration.